And now, here's your host of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Shaping Success. I am your host, Wes Tankersley. Before we get started today, if you can do me a favor, if you're listening to this on the podcast, please like, share, and review it on Apple Podcasts. Follow it, subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Help me to grow the show. It was an awesome time last Saturday. I got to interview a returning guest, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that before we get going in this bonus coverage episode. Mark Simo, who I will be referring to as Mark from here on out, is one of those people who has been very helpful in helping me to grow this. He's one of the highest viewed, listened to guests that I have. For those of you who don't know, I post across multiple platforms, YouTube, IG, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of those. So we're trying to promote myself. I listen to Gary Vee quite a bit and talking about social media, marketing, and things like that. And that's where I try to market this podcast. I got a second chance to interview Mark Simo. For those of you who don't know, he is the creator of No Fear, Life's a Beach, and right now, Trust Me Vodka, which is a company that I invest in. I was introduced to him by a friend of mine who brought me over some vodka after I had invested in the company, and then just realized that Mark was who Mark was. And I asked them, and that's what we're going to kind of talk about here real quick, his connection. I asked her if he would be interested in doing an interview on my podcast. Little did I know as much information about him as I did until I got to know him in that first interview. And realizing that he's a great person, he's an entrepreneur, he's someone who's been around for a very long time and has constantly been through the whole pressure. One of the things that's interesting is that with Trust Me, it's all about word of mouth, and it's all about me telling you and the next person telling the next person, the next person telling the next person. And they don't do a ton of social media marketing. They do have some pages and they do post some stuff on there, but it's not a big thing. It's not something that happens, and it's by word of mouth. And one of the things that he talked about was, like connecting people with people and things like that. And I wanted to talk to you about this idea. You may have heard of this game called 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, but there's also this 6 Degrees of Separation, which is what the game is based on. But basically what that means is the idea that all people on average are 6 or fewer connections away from each other. I feel like that's a little bit big. I feel like with social media, I know that was a bigger thing, that game and that thing was something before social media. And I feel like we're really close in that way. One of the things is there's a point, like I talked about with Mark, I interviewed him. One of my friends told me there's a point where Mark Simo becomes Mark. And that's really where it's come to. I enjoyed interviewing Mark the first time, and I didn't know him very well. I got to meet him in Boise at this event that they had. And then I got to interview him again because he wanted to, because he said it in the interview. He's fascinated with what I'm doing. Success is this thing that it's so different to so many different people. And I'm able to show that and make people understand that there is a lot out there. And it's funny because it made a whole lot of thought process in my head when he told me that. He also told me a couple other things, that the stuff is there. It's there. You have to be willing to do that. And that connection piece, that part about that 6 degrees of separation, that connection piece is the biggest part of that whole thing. And when you have this mindset, when you think about the things that you're doing, when you realize that there's a path that you want to take, as soon as you can figure that path out, you start to seek out people who have created that path for themselves. And that's what I did with Mark. He's got these things going on. He's created these brands. He's been successful in the things that he's doing. And then all of a sudden I'm talking to him and I'm realizing that, hey, we have the same kind of mindset. And then I have a couple other friends. It's the same thing. So I have this group of people who think the same thing, same way that I do, are doing the same thing that I'm doing, are trying to make sure that they are getting those things done and they're pursuing the same goal. And then all of a sudden pieces start to fall together. Things start happening based on that. With Mark, like I said, there's this point where it becomes, hey, he's not this guy anymore. He's this guy. And he's become a friend of mine. And I received a phone call from him on Monday, which, from this point, it's pretty much been me reaching out to him. He's called me back a couple times just because we missed each other, but he actually called back. But I got a call from Mark on Monday. And I was getting ready to walk into a customer's home, and I was like, holy smokes, he's calling me. So what did we do? What do we got? Essentially, Mark wants to connect me to other people. And that's one of those things, you surround yourself with people. People want you to be successful, and they're going to connect you with other people who are successful to help you grow. And that's kind of what it's about. That's really what these shows are about, finding that connection, finding people who do the same thing as you. And I'm trying to bring as many guests as I can from many different successful careers and things like that to prove to you, to show you, to help you to grow yourself as a person, as an individual, to help you decide what it's going to take to reach those goals that you want to reach. And I hope that that's something that helps you to do that. I hope that watching one of these videos or listening to one of these interviews has helped you to grow as a person, to grow in your career, to grow in what you think success is, to help you to take that step. Because it's funny, the first step is taking that first step, right? Knowing what the goal is and taking that step out. So if you're on the fence today about what you're doing, if you're thinking about doing something different, if you're thinking about a career change, if you're thinking about what is it going to take to do that, I challenge you to listen through those episodes and see if there's something in there that can help you. Reach out to the people that I have interviewed, because they will connect with you. They will help you to grow. They will help you flourish. And that's really what it is. Things are coming together. Ideas are formulating. Processes are happening. And I'm very excited for what the new year is bringing as far as new guests, new versions of success, new things to help you grow as a person. So that is really all I have for you today. I know it's short and sweet. If you haven't listened to my second interview with Mark, if you haven't listened to the first one, you need to listen to both of those. You need to go through and listen to episodes. And, if you have any questions, reach out to me, DM me on Instagram. I'm very available. If you look on Instagram, it has my PodSpout page, Leanne is an awesome connection that I interviewed. But she's helped me to create my PodSpout page, which is a landing page for you to find all this information about me. You can find my Facebook page. You can find my IG page. You can find wherever that is. If you're following me, or if you're listening to this, at wes.tankersley on IG, follow me. Click on my link in my bio, my PodSpout link. You can listen to all the shows. I really encourage you to listen to what's going on. I really encourage you to make yourself better every single day. Because I was on the fence about a year ago, and things are just starting to fall together over and over and over again. Shows me every time this little nugget pops up, what I'm doing is correct. It's kind of like golf. If you've ever golfed before, you go out, at least I do anyway, and I'm just this average. I'm not even average. I'm probably pretty below average, but I go out and I hit this great drive one time, and it could be on the first or second hole. That's what hangs out in your memory. You get through 18, you have a crappy score, or you don't do as well as you wanted to, but you think about that very first drive or that very good shot that you had, and you're like, I'm going back, because that can happen again. So I challenge you to think about that. Hey, again, if you're listening to this on podcast, please like, share, and review. Take a screenshot of it while you're watching it and post it on your social. Just tag me, and I'll share it, and I might send you a nice message. Until next time, I want to challenge you to find the shape of your success.